Hi y'all, how you doing? Libertarian Dave here. Got another message for you. I've been looking online today and I'm seeing a lot of people posting about COVID-19 is the #1 killer in the United States. I'd like to address that. And I want to see how fast I can get this video out to you guys. If I can get news in the morning and get the video out by the afternoon, I think I'm doing a great job. And since I'm kind of new to this, doing the best I can. So let's see how it works. Well, the first thing I want you to know, it's great news. COVID-19 is the #1 killer in the United States, and that's true. So why is that good news? Because if you look at the statistic, what does that tell you? I'm going to show you some numbers now. These are the numbers here that are showing you all of the mortality rates for pneumonia and influenza since all the way back to October of last year. Now, as you can see, the rates haven't changed all that dramatically except for a spike in January. So I suspect that spike in January was probably the peak of our COVID-19 deaths for the year. Of course, we weren't testing, so there was no way to know whether it was actually COVID-19 or not. So that's pretty key and essential information. So if you look at this other chart here, it shows you that it continues, it's a continuation of the data from this one. So what it's telling you is that the rates are still basically the same. It's a little higher than usual, probably due to COVID-19, but not dramatically so like the media and stuff would like to impress on you. And that's what I really want to warn you about, these statistics that people keep throwing at you, and not to get panicked and go crazy about them. Yeah, COVID-19 is the #1, but the real reason for that is because all-cause mortality is down. People are dying less of everything else. It's not that people are dying more from COVID-19. Of course they are, because now we're actually testing for it. So that's the reason why. All-cause mortality is down. There's less deaths on the highways. There's less deaths. People are doing things that they love to do. They're staying home and getting back into those hobbies they probably left behind forever. And it's causing people to, not die. So all-cause mortality is down is the real reason, and that's why I say it's great news, because more people are living, less people are dying, even though more people are dying from COVID-19. So this is something to actually celebrate instead of like the media wants you to do and panic and freak out about. Another reason why I put this graphic up was to show you that in 2018, January of 2018, we had a big spike in pneumonia and influenza deaths then too. There wasn't this big giant panic about it, but it was the #1 killer during that period of time also. So this is nothing to freak out about, people. And just another point about this peak in January. Yes, we weren't testing for COVID-19, so these pneumonia, influenza deaths that were not attributed to COVID-19 in January was because we weren't testing for it. And as we know, it's been around since November. There was all this travel between China and the United States between November and middle March when we started testing for it. So, like I've always said, how many people already have had it and gotten over it? Were you sick in December, January, or February? Did you get sick, unusually sick especially? Then chances are you might have had it. You got the antibodies. We need to start testing for these antibodies, because I know me, if I test positive for the antibodies, I'm giving plasma every chance I get. I'm going to go on Fort Bliss and I'm going to give my plasma because it could save people's lives. That's what we really need to be focused on right now, instead of all this misery and ugliness that we're talking about. And one more thing about this thing, it's bad. Yes, people are dying, people are getting sick. I understand that. But understand that all this panic is unnecessary, and these laws limiting our liberty are completely unnecessary. This thing has been around since November. We had a spike in January. There was no panic. We weren't shutting businesses down. We weren't limiting people's essential liberties. We weren't telling which business was essential, which one wasn't. We weren't doing all of this nastiness, and yet our numbers for flu, for influenza, and pneumonia stayed pretty much the same. And since we've started all of this, essentially it hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed significantly is all-cause mortality. All-cause mortality has dropped. So yes, there's more people living because of this, because people are less stressed out at their jobs. There's less people on the road. There's probably less pollution in the air. So there's all of these things that benefit our health as it is. Keeps your blood pressure down, all that stuff. People that have heart conditions and stuff probably more relaxed. So all-cause mortality is down. That's the only thing that we've really succeeded in, the only positive thing that we've really done by doing all of this. All this government intervention has really done. And that probably could have been done without all the government intervention if we would have just did recommendations instead of requiring it by law. Because let's face it, people, if I am, how do I put this? Not smart enough to take the recommendations of health professionals around the world, then I'm probably not going to be smart enough to take those same recommendations when they're made into law. So what I'm saying is, the people that were not going to do the recommendations, the people who were still not social distancing, not washing their hands and doing all the stuff like that, are probably still not going to do those things, even when it's against the law. So are those people going to get ticketed? Maybe. But since there's about 90% of us that would have taken the recommendations anyways, whether they made it into law or not, the chances of us actually making a mistake out there, walking in the park with our dog by accident and getting a ticket for trespassing, the chances of that happening versus the chances of one of these knuckleheads getting caught doing something is probably more likely. So more innocent people are going to get damaged by this than the knuckleheads, is what I'm saying. So I want you to remember, though, when all this comes to pass, if you get a ticket or you get arrested because of something that was unconstitutionally put on you because of this, when you go to court, I recommend, I'm not a lawyer, talk to your lawyer, but I recommend getting a jury and requesting jury nullification. Jury nullification is where the jury can nullify a crime based on the law being unjust. So if you were ticketed for trespassing in the park and fined $1,000, go to court, recommend jury nullification. That means the jury can say, you know what, it was unjust for him to be ticketed, that law was unjust, and he gets wiped off the books. So they did it all the time back in Prohibition days with alcohol, with people who were arrested for possession of alcohol. And people are doing it occasionally for people who are arrested for prohibition of marijuana. It hasn't become that popular because not that many people know about it. So just remember, when all this is over, request jury nullification. It's a very powerful part of our criminal justice system. So in wrapping all this thing up, I want to express one very serious thing to you. All this media attention and these politicians and stuff and all this craziness, even myself, all this craziness that is going on, don't trust in man, trust in God. Put your faith in God. Get in prayer and put your faith in God. He's going to tell you what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. Just trust in Him. Don't trust in all this craziness. They twist into these numbers and these facts and these percentages just to strike fear into your heart. Especially as Christians, we don't live in the spirit of fear. We live in the spirit of God. We trust in God. So you look at this stuff, and God is doing great things in the earth. He has saved lives with this thing. Saved lives. Think about that. Only our God can use a virus to save lives. It's amazing. It's amazing. Anyways, this is Libertarian Dave. If you like this content, if you got some value out of it, I'd appreciate a sub and a like, and please share this around. I actually really wanted to shoot this video to see how fast I can shoot a video, edit it, and get it uploaded. So I'm going to get right down to editing this thing, which I'm not very good at, but I'm trying to get better. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Be safe, and God bless you.